System monitoring. We saw this in our last demonstration. The GUI homepage gives you the overall system status even before you log in. The system status displays an exclamation and a red square. It has a critical error. Storage administrator needs to investigate the critical error as soon as possible. System status is shown on the left page on every GUI page. What does this mean? If the system has at least one critical error, the system status for the whole realm displays the exclamation and red square. This means a non-redundant realm component is not functioning. You may need to take action. Volume has exceeded its failure redundancy. That means for RAID 6 volumes that 3 OSDs are not responding, 3 or more. Reconstruction failed on a volume. This usually means that it had timeouts to something, and there's things we can do. Reconstruction cannot start because there are no virtual spares. A volume is not accessible. Node's file system partition is full. Hardware component over maximum temperature. Node is about to shut down over maximum temperature. And lastly, a volume's hard quota has been exceeded. The realm assumes that's very important to you. Warning state. A realm component is degraded. Reconstruction has begun. This is kind of expected, but it still tells you. No virtual spare space or reserve space. Not a problem right now, but it would be if reconstruction was started. Volume service does not have a failover director. Damaged objects. Realm where volume is offline. A direct flow client is missing. Too many director commands, timeouts to an OSD. Soft quota violation, snapshot errors, hardware component is over optimum temperature, but it's not yet near shutdown temperature. Redundant power supply has failed or no power source. Node's not responding. Drive is unhealthy or has failed. That's not a critical error because the system knows how to deal with that. Got too many memory errors, indicating some bad memory. Power protection is not ready. File system partition is nearly full. Redundant fan, redundant network interface is down. IPMI NIC failed. NTP is out of sync. Got a core file. Software module has a transient failure. Actually, that's an information item. Or too many login failures have occurred. If the realm has at least one current information, the realm is only in warning state if it has warnings but no critical errors. If the realm has one current information item but no critical errors or warnings, the system displays an I in the white circle. Actually, they may have fixed that. Let's see. Yes, they have fixed that. It's good. Information items do not take the realm out of critical healthy state anymore. So these are some information items, but if there are no current system critical errors or warnings, the system status displays a solid green circle. The status reports, system monitor, system at a glance page displays any critical errors and warnings anywhere in the realm. In this example, there are no warnings or critical errors, so the system status is okay. In this case, we've got drive errors. We've got a hard quota on the volumes, and we've got a soft quota, and there's no blade set errors. So you see these are just summarized per page, and each one of these is a link to the page so you can go see what the warnings are. What would the overall realm state be with this set of warnings and errors? Be critical error, right? Because this is the worst thing. So we're going to click on volumes, go see what's going on. And we see this. Here's our hard quota violation. Let's talk about this alert section. We have two different forms of alert sections. On the pages that were written not very recently, the warning sections look like this. You're usually allowed to clear software errors if you don't want to see them anymore. A software error includes a hard quota violation. Some hardware warnings, which may not be serious, such as ECC memory errors or drive errors, may be also cleared. So we're going to check those to clear them. We're going to click clear, and now there's no volume errors, and now the system is green. We're ignoring those hard drive errors that were there for a while. You must use good judgment deciding whether to clear alerts or not. You don't want to leave the realm in an error state long term, because if there's different errors, you're not going to notice them. On the other hand, prematurely clearing errors that show conditions need to be dealt with may cause these conditions to be forgotten. So you just have to decide. Once an error is cleared, you cannot unclear it. The error will reappear if the condition happens again. Okay. Serious hardware alerts cannot be manually cleared. Also, alerts that about reconstruction cannot be cleared. MConsole Director automatically clears these when the hardware issue or the reconstruction issue is resolved. On these pages, if the alert section cannot display all the alerts, you're going to click Show Details, and this will expand to show more alerts. Let's say there were 50 of these. Hopefully not, but here, this is basically just one alert and some information items. If you want it smaller again, you click Show Summary. Some of the more recently designed pages, mostly the hardware page, also the volume service page, the alert sections have a different appearance. There are summary boxes in the right bottom half that summarize how many you have. We have 10 warnings. We have four information items. If we want to clear these, the language is a little bit more helpful. Select all. And instead of clear all, it says deselect all. That means you want to uncheck all the boxes. If you want to clear the alerts, here, clear selected alerts. This again is the new style warnings. Critical errors have a red background, so they really jump out. Here is volume tolerance exceeded. The volume home has too many failed OSDs. Actually, they're not failed. They're just offline. And we may have timeouts to a particular OSD. If there's over 500 of them in an hour, we alert. Sometimes this can mean that the OSD has a problem. They at least should be investigated. This one you can clear, this one you can't. This is a serious error, and the MConsole will clear it when the situation has arisen. These new style alert sections don't have a show all, they just have a scroll bar, so you can see all of them. These are network related errors because I took down some interfaces. Expanded alert. Each one of these alerts you can be expanded, and what you see by expanding them may or may not be helpful. That has the error code, you don't really need that, and it has the description. Often the description is the exact same as the alert, and the user action. Sometimes this is helpful. System has restarted this application automatically. This is the software process hardware agent, so no action is needed. If you see many of these errors, please report a bug, or please open a service request with Panasas technical support. That's not necessarily a bug. but it may indicate that there are some networking issues, because a service restart may indicate that we're continually losing process. We're continually losing contact with the president. Actually, this is exit code 6. This is a panic. So we need to see what's going on with agent there. That's not a serious alert, but we need to check it out. Most of these user actions just say contact Panasas technical support. They used to say, like, please replace this immediately, but that's not necessarily what you want to do. So we have requested that a lot of the user actions be deleted, so they have. But if you want to see it, just expand that. There are more than one of the same alert, the same component. The alerts are grouped in these new style alerts. You see, we have 3 of these timeouts to the same OSD. So we have the first one and the last one. And you see the times are reported a little bit differently. These are reported in Zulu style time, where it's year dash month dash date, and then a T for the time, and then hours, minutes, seconds, etc. This is sortable. The other kind of date is not sortable. Alerts that cannot be cleared by the storage administrator have a little question. The little question, if you hover over it, says this alert cannot be cleared manually. Here is one that reconstruction has begun. This alert will clear automatically both when reconstruction completes and the OSD is replaced. Information items. We have a whole bunch of information items here, and these are volumes being brought online. This may be because the realm was rebooted, or volume service has failed over, or reconstruction is completed, or any number of things. But we have a whole lot of alerts here. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to read them all, so we might want to search. We say, okay, I see all this stuff about the volumes being brought online. I'm not interested in those. So I search for brought online. Shows me all the information items for that. I click select all and then clear. So now we've gotten rid of the information items about being brought online. And so now what we have left over is this one about the hardware agent restart. We said, okay, I've seen that. I'm not interested in that. I'm going to check that, clear it. I didn't show it, but among all these alerts, I also searched for configured successfully, cleared that, and capacity balance detected, and I've cleared that. This one was the interesting one that I wanted to see. Nodes are shown with symbolic alert color on the hardware page. My examples here are in a slightly older version of the GUI. Now, if you remember, it's something with a little dot, not the bars, but nevertheless, the color of the dot is, again, symbolic. There is no dot physically on the node. The green dot changes to red if there is a critical error for the node. The bar changes to yellow if there is at least one warning but no critical errors for the node, and the node color bar does not change if there is an information item for the node. You see that the back, here's our example. Here's the yellow bar. That would be a dot in the most current version. And you see that the background is all yellow here. The background color status symbol and the plus changes for the enclosure as well. See that? Now the enclosure is in warning state, and this is also yellow. All kinds of yellow here. The enclosure status is in critical error, and the background is red is if at least one node or any component in the enclosure has a critical error. The enclosure itself is basically a dumb piece of sheet metal with maybe a tiny little backplane for the power supplies. It doesn't really have alerts, so we're talking about things that are in the enclosure. The status is warning, background is yellow, at least one node or component has a warning, but none have a critical error. Enclosure status is an I and plus in blue, at least one component has an information item, but none have a critical error warning. So we have ASD1, an information state. That means go look up above and see what the information item is. This one has a warning. And it was because I powered that one off to make it not responding. Okay. So now we can click on the enclosure link, go to the enclosure details, and we again see that the enclosure is in warning state. On this page, only the components that are actually in the warning state have the yellow color, plus the enclosure itself. All right, we see that the power supplies are fine, and I've clipped this in the middle because this is way down. We see that ASU1, 2, well, it's not responding. And we'll talk about what not responding means tomorrow if we have time. You cannot clear a warning that something is not responding. It will clear when the node comes back. Historical event log. Status and reports. Historical event log shows the last 10 events by default. Here it is. This is usually filled with uninteresting items, but we have a filter that allows you to see more interesting items. Administrator actions. This is just, usually that means that you took a volume offline, but it also can mean that you logged in, that you went into service mode, all that kind of stuff. System changes, that's a configuration change or whatever. You can, warnings, those are interesting, critical errors, clearly so, and the default is to show the last 10 events. So here's my filter, and I see that volume data is not accessible, and I have exactly 2 alerts for that at the same time. Oh, two different volumes that are not accessible. You have all kind of options in these filters. Note, however, that all these alert logs are not replicated. Now, I believe we talked about this in the RepSet topic. If the mConsole service fails over to another director, that director will only show events logged while it was mConsole. Remember, we try to fail mConsole back to the original one if it comes back. Well, let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say we even replace mConsole. There, we have some techniques to copying the older event logs from a former mConsole director to the current mConsole director. Of course, you have to do it while that director still is in the realm. The current mConsole director will be able to query all the events from all the event log files that it has. We're not going to go over how to do that. Here we have an example to search for critical errors and warnings for the last 2 days. Anything relating to volume data. We could also type in volume data here. I've had better luck with the message than putting it in one of these fields right there. And again, we have 2 things for data. One is that an OSD has not responded. And number 2, I think I did some more bad stuff to things that the volume is actually down. I've done. The realm doesn't have all these kind of problems. I have to do things to it usually to get these warnings. The event filter disappears once you click search, and you can click the plus to reopen it. You can also export all the events. You can export the search results, or you can just export everything. And there are customers who export their events on a regular basis so they can search them. That's not the usual thing, but you can if you want to. There are common limited files. And that downloads to your laptop or wherever you're accessing the GUI from. The realm may be configured to email alerts for critical errors and warnings. I strongly recommend that you do that. The demo realm is not configured to do that because we have no mail server in the demo environment, and the demo environment is often in networking jail, so it can't access anything else in our lab. So we don't have it, but you should. This is useful if the storage administrator does not constantly watch the system status section. I mean, who actually constantly watches the realm? So it's good if the realm is going to tap you on the shoulder, tell you what's going on. So we're going to configure this by configuration, email settings. Here's your server. The demo realm doesn't actually have this. But this would be what it might be if we did. Administrator email, put a valid email in there. The from address you usually leave blank. It's going to be from PanActive Manager at the realm, but in case your server doesn't like this, if you want it from something else, you can put that in. Then you're going to send a test email just to make sure it goes through. The usual cause of it not going through is that your mail server has some kind of permissions things and it's rejecting these emails. We also have forms to tell us how often to send emails. Email, the options are once per instance or every 5 minutes. You do not want this. You always want once per instance. Pagers, that's pretty obsolete, but we still have it in there. Note also that if it's a network issue and the interface is flapping, every one of those flaps is a separate instance. So we don't have that problem much anymore. But these are how you'll get your warnings. That was sometimes a problem on the older shelf switches on the alpha realms. There's also some configurable warnings. By default, the realm does not warn that a client has gone AWOL. Well, actually it does, because I got warnings that a non-existent client was AWOL. We remembered AWOL means missing. It's like a military term, absent without leave. Remember that we said that if a client is missing, that means that one of the volume owner directors tried to contact it and it didn't respond. And that might cause slowness for other clients. So we want to know if there's clients that are missing. So we usually want to configure this so we get an alert. There are some situations where you really don't want to know about this and you can turn this off. PanActive link. Mike, this is not for you, but some of the customers for PanActive link, if the realm can reach the internet and your site is not secure, the realm on a weekly basis will email us some information about how the realm is configured and some things that are happening. We do not troubleshoot from these. These do not go to Panasas technical support. And I'm not sure if anybody's looking at these right now, but from time to time, our quality assurance team uses these summaries and does some data mining about what's going on. But these do include IP addresses, so and some names, so secure site clearly could not send it to us. It is disabled by default unless you enable it. But here's PanActive link. Here's our customer ID. Yes, we want to do it. If you want to receive a copy of it yourself, then you can put an email there. PanActive link is also necessary to be able to download software from the realm, upgrade software directly to the realm. Review. Which GUI pages show the system status in the left menu column?
System status, I think.
I'm sorry?
System status.
Well, there's some more. That all do. Every page shows the system status. Which GUI page shows all current critical errors and warnings?
The home page?
No. Status alerts, system at a glance. Actually, the hardware page also does that. I'm not sure it's supposed to. But the system at a glance page is where you can quickly see all the critical alerts and warnings. This one right here. And this is a very handy page. System at a glance. Status and reports and system at a glance. That's the first thing. So you just status and reports, it'll show you everything. Now, if the realm is green, there's nothing to look at. But first thing, if the realm is not green, first thing, and it does not show information items, just actual warnings and alerts or green. And you can see what the different component pages of the realm are going to show you. Is the storage administrator able to clear some critical errors and warnings?
Yes.
Some of them, yes. Notably, hardcode limits. And a lot of warnings can be cleared. Is the storage administrator able to clear serious hardware critical errors and warnings?
No.
No. If a node is the subject of 2 warnings and 3 information items, what status will the GUI display for that node?
Warning and critical, I think, or I guess.
No, it's only got one. It's only got one status. It can only have one status. It's got 2 warnings, 3 information items. What is the GUI display? What color is the GUI and symbols? I'm sorry?
Critical.
Wait a minute. It's got 2 warnings and 3 information items. It doesn't have any critical errors, so why would it be critical?
It's going to show yellow.
Yellow, yes. This is the worst thing. The warning, so it's going to show warning state yellow for the node. Okay. Warning is below critical. Critical only if it's got a critical error. Is the red, yellow, or green dot shown on each node on the hardware page a physical LED on the node?
Yeah.
No, it's symbolic. As a matter of fact, remember the LEDs on the nodes are controlled by the BMC. They know nothing about the alerts on the system page. The alerts on the hardware page probably are not going to be shown on the LEDs on the nodes. Now the reverse is probably true. If there's a warning LED for the node, it's probably going to be in warning state in the GUI as well. But there are exceptions to that. What is one way the storage administrator may see previous critical errors or warnings for a particular volume?
History,
Event history.
historical.
By the way, I
reports.
don't think I mentioned, but there are links to the historical event log all through the GUI. You look at a node, there's a link to the historical event page, and if you click on that, you go through the page, and the form is already filled out for you. So you can do that. Is any storage administrator action to enable system warnings? Ooh, I'm not sure about this anymore because this may now be default. System warnings well, I got an information item that there was an AWOL client. But if you want an actual warning to be emailed to you, is any storage administrator action needed to enable warnings that if an unhealthy direct flow client is causing data access slowness for other clients?
So you mean setting up email alerts?
Yeah, well, you just click this in the GUI. There's only two things that you can configure about warnings. One is warn about AWOL clients. The other is warn about login failures, and that's really kind of trivial. So you click yes right there. Yep. Okay, if so, what action is needed? So, all right, questions on this?
No, thank you.
We're going to put the demonstration off on this until tomorrow, which we're running a little behind. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to talk about reconstruction. And I want to tell you what it is, but it's really not part of the introduction. But we will look at the warnings, and we will I'll reboot an OSD if we need to, so we can see some warnings and alerts. All right. We don't have time to finish, but we will get a start on reconstruction.